8 bold predictions for 2026 with One Piece. Today we'll be talking about sets moving up, singles reaching new all-time highs, different little gimmicks that I think are going to happen with One Piece in 2026. So no need to waste your time, let's just start with number 8. Number 8 is a bit of a big one. So number 8 is that OP17 is actually going to be rather underwhelming. So generally what happens with card games and generally just investing is that people will see something that happened in the past and they'll try to predict it for the future. The problem is, if something just happened, like OP13 going from $170 to $700, it's very unlikely that OP17 is going to do the same because everybody's expecting it to. When everybody expects something to happen, generally it doesn't happen. So that's why today, number 8 is that I think OP13 is going to be rather underwhelming. I'm not saying the set will be bad. The set might be good. Realistically, we have no clue. But the thing is, number 1, it's probably going to be very, very highly printed. Bandai have tons of time to print it. But number 2, if you do look at a pattern, it does look like what they do is they go all out for one anniversary set, and then the next one it's decent, and then they go all out, and then a bit of a pattern, right? So we have 3. OPO5 was fantastic. They had a signature card. They already did Gear 5 Luffy. You can already see they already had tons of tricks up their sleeve that they used. When you get to OPO9, it was a good set, don't get me wrong, but it was nothing groundbreaking. It had wanted posters. It had a Shanks that's okay. It had the Luffy that's okay. The Gold Roger's pretty good, but other than the Gold Roger just being incredibly rare to pull, it wasn't the most insane set out there. When you've got sets like PRBO1, you've got sets like EBO2. It's not that it was a bad set, but it wasn't necessarily like living up to the previous set, what it put these standards on anniversary sets, which was highly anticipated, right? But OPO9 wasn't really the best. And then when you get to OP13 was a hit. It had 3 red alternate art mangas, then it had 3 normal mangas, then it had red, then it had gold, silver cards, it had wanted posters, it had god packs, it had everything. So I think that with OP17, just looking at this, a bit of a pattern that we have, it does seem like we'll have a similar situation where people thought that OP09 was going to be like a big thing that would revive One Piece, but then it came out and it wasn't necessarily a flop, but it also didn't generally like explode the hobby. So I think the same thing is going to happen, but I think people are going to look at OP13 and go, alright, OP13, I missed out at 170, I'm going to grab OP17. Not to say that OP17 wouldn't do really well. I mean, if you look at OP09, you can see it's a year and a bit old now, and it's like a $600 box. So I'm sure OP17 will do really well, but I think it will be much more available than OP13. And I think, because the thing is, it kind of shocked Bandai, right? It kind of hit them by a bit of surprise with how popular OP13 was. But with OP17, they know there's going to be a lot of demand. And any pre-orders there are right now is selling out. But the thing is, when the set actually comes out, I feel like it'll probably be a lot more available. So I feel like price-wise, it'll probably be underwhelming because I don't think it'll be a $700 booster box like a couple months after it comes out. So that's number 8. Number 7 is that the season 2 of the live action One Piece TCG, not the One Piece TCG, the Netflix live action, sorry. I think that it will once again jumpstart One Piece again. The first season was just a massive hit. People loved it. When it came out, it was massive, but also it hit a new audience. It wasn't just the same fans watching the TV show. It actually hit a new audience. It got new fans into the hobby, and I think that what happened was a lot of those people then moved to the card game. There was a direct correlation. If you were there after the first season blew up, you would remember a lot of people became fans. A lot of people entered the card game. There was a direct correlation. So I feel that the same is going to happen, not to the level that it's going to happen with season 1. With season 1, because we didn't really know if it was going to be good or not, then it kind of just was whatever. Once it was a hit, then great. Now that we know that they've done a pretty good job at making it, there's a good chance that the second season is going to be really good. So then that would mean that I feel like it's not going to have the same effect that the first season had, but it will still definitely have a big effect. But I think it'll also have an effect on the manga chopper. This is something I've talked a couple months ago. I was saying that if you want to grab a manga that's going to go up a lot, I'd probably recommend that chopper. And the reason is because that manga chopper is decently rare. it is from EBO1, which only got one print wave. It's not the easiest manga to find, but also it's probably going to get pumped up quite heavily because Chopper is going to be in season 2. So there's a solid chance that that Chopper is going to explode in value, and also just other Chopper cards that exist. But honestly, mainly that manga, I think it's probably going to do quite well. So I think that, yeah, the season 2, it's coming out soon in a couple of weeks now, which is pretty exciting. But I think we'll feel the effect over the next couple months. I don't think it's just going to be like overnight. I think it's going to be something that slowly but surely brings people into the hobby. But then that brings us to number 6, which is that I think the top chasers of sets have peaked for a good while. I don't really see them going up much higher for the most part. Sets like the Gear 5 loop, not sets, but like the Gear 5 loop, for example, right? It was 1980 and $19,800. I don't think it's going to go much higher than that. Now, it did pull back already, but I don't think that we're going to see sales for 25 or 30k. And things like the Red Luffy, I think we've seen sales all the way at the max of like 30k USD. I don't think we're going to see more than that. For a lot of these cards, I think they've definitely peaked. The value of the cards, they were definitely very undervalued, those mangas. But now that they've really jumped up, I think that's relatively it for those. I think that what will happen is money will flow into those cheaper cards, those alternate arts. And I think we're already seeing it with cards like the Zoro from OP14. We're seeing a lot of money flow into cards that aren't naturally mangas. They're just good looking cards. That Zoro is more expensive than the manga from the set. The Zoro sells for $5,000 as a PSA 10, while the manga sells for like $2,200. It's over double the price, and I think we're going to continue to see that. I think we're going to see a lot of those alternate arts, a lot of those SPs that people really like. I think we're going to see them seriously take off and do really, really well compared to the mangas, because the mangas are now too expensive, so it's priced a lot of people out. But then those cheaper cards I feel like are going to do really well. Another prediction I have is I believe that OP14 this year is going to hit $300 to $400. I think 300 is like pretty much guaranteed. $400, I think it might happen. Look, we'll have to see. But overall, I think OP14 is going to be a bit of a sleeper. Everything is so expensive right now. Like even a set that I talk quite highly of, which is PRBO2, I still think it's pretty undervalued. But even a set like that, what's the logistics that it goes to $660, which is pretty much it doubling in price? Oh no, actually I think it's $350 now. So it would be $700. What's the logistics that it goes to $700? I don't think that it can realistically do that within a short period of time. But something like OP14, I think it's definitely doable for it to go to $400. I don't see that out of the realm. I think that's definitely going to happen within the next 12 to 18 months. If I'm being honest with you, it's such a good set. It seriously does stand out. I think it just had such a large dump on release. But if you look at some Pokemon sets, I mean, some of those really good sets like Decimaraz is a good example. For anyone who's not into Pokemon, there was a set that was really hyped up, and the release, there was just a lot of that available. So it went from like $400 a booster box on pre-order all the way down to what was it? It bottomed at like $220. Destined Rise. It bottomed at about $220, but now it's a $550 box. You know why? Because the supply dried up. It got rarer and rarer day by day. But the thing is, it plummeted so hard because so many people listed it at such a short period of time. But then once that supply kind of flushes out, then I feel like it's going to have OP14 is going to have a pretty similar fate to that, where it just dumped really, really hard because so much of it got released. But then it'll slowly creep up. I mean, now it's like $240, I believe, right? Now it's actually climbing. Like, I made a video saying that, like, guys, I don't think it's going to stay this cheap for much longer. And that was when it was like $220, $215. And it's already $240 back again. I don't think it's going to be crazy to say that it's going to be a $300 box soon. You've just got to give a couple more months, and you've just got to give some more time. You've got the Sanji and Zoro. That's such a beautiful card. But think about it. I mean, another thing, this is just a bit of a, might be a bit of a stretch, but in season 2 of One Piece, you do have Zoro and you do have Sanji. So you could see though that card specifically do well. Maybe you have a lot of people who just like the more or less basic cards. I mean, they don't have to, you know, most people just like the popular cards, right? Or like, sorry, not the popular cards, but the popular characters. A lot of people don't like random unknown characters that have been featured in 2 episodes, right? Most people just prefer Zoro or Sanji. So considering those are going to be in season 2, you might see the cards like the OP14 Zoro and Sanji, you might even see a gob from now. I mean, who realistically knows, it is really expensive. But nonetheless, I think the desirability for OP14 is going to be pretty sky high, especially as people who are brand new to One Piece, they'll see Zoro and Sanji. It's not going to be like, a character they've always known, right? It might be like the first character they see, and they're going to go, oh man, that's such a cool character. That guy's my favorite. I want to get a card for that, right? And then OP14 is going to be there. I think this is really going to help OP14 do really well, to be honest with you. I don't think it's just going to make it blow up overnight, but I think it'll just still help it continue to go up. And then next, I think PRBO1 will hit 1.5k to 2k. I think PRBO1 is a sleeper. I've said that on this channel for a while now, and I still stand by that. I think PRBO1 is a sleeper. The set value's through the roof. That set, you buy one box. If you pull a God pack, that is the most expensive pack you can ever pull if you get them all PSA 10s. If you get them all PSA 10s, it's north of about 30 to 40k worth of value. So the thing is, you are like absolutely golden. The thing is that I don't think people have really like, I understand it's an expensive box, but I do think it should be more. Like, okay, EBO1 is a good example, right? EBO1, there's not much of it out there, sure. It's about a $900 box, meanwhile PRBO1 is about $900 as well. But the thing is, PRBO1 is so much better, and it's the same thing. It only got one print wave. So it's like a similar amount of printing, but it's like a million times better, right? I think it will do really well. So I think 1.5 to 2k. 2k is a bit ambitious. We'll definitely see how it does. But I think that like in the long run, it's going to be seen as like that really, really premium box. It's going to be that box where people really look at it and go like, damn, I want to open that, or they want to collect it. I don't know. Who knows if they'll do it again? Who knows if they'll do another premium, maybe PRBO 3 has other mangas featured, like other reprints, but who realistically knows? We don't know if they're going to do that again. Maybe it was just a once-off where they just reprinted all the mangas into PRBO1. Maybe they never do that again. Maybe PRBO1 in 10 years' time is still the set with the most mangas inside. Who realistically knows? But what we do know is it has a Sanji, it has a Zoro, it has a Shanks, it has a Nami, it has a Gear 5 Luffy. It's got everything. Yes, they're reprints, but it still has them. That's a fact. And it has a lot overall, I just think it's a really good set, and I think it'll still do really well. Alrighty, number 3 is that I believe that mangas will continue to be 2 to 3 times as much value from raw to PSA 10. So if you've been in the One Piece hobby for many years now, you would remember back in the day, mangas would have like a 25% premium as a PSA 10. However, in 2025, it slowly, like the gap slowly expanded, where PSA 10s were drastically more expensive, and now they're just through the roof. A good example is the Bubble Zoro, for example, right? That's a $1,000 card. If it is good condition, it has good pictures, it's about $1,500 to maybe $1,600, but as a PSA 10, it's $5,000. I guarantee you, if that card came out years ago, it would be $1,500 raw, but then like $1,800 as a PSA 10, or maybe $1,900 as a PSA 10. Why? Because the gem rate is so high. So it shouldn't really make sense that the singles are so expensive. Sorry, the PSA 10s are so expensive versus the singles. But the main reason is because there is so many delays with PSA and they're taking so long to grade. Now you practically have to wait half a year if you don't want to pay any premiums. If you do want to pay premiums, obviously you don't have to wait as long, but for the most part, a lot of people who are grading, it's no longer going to take 20 business days or 30. It's going to take 90 business days for it to arrive. So what do you think is going to happen to the prices? I think that this is going to continue to happen. I think that the shortage of like PSA like workers, I guess, or factories, or I know they're constantly opening up new factories, but I think they're just going to continue to take a really long time with grading, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon, which would mean that you can still buy mangas and grade them to get a PSA 10 and you can profit off of that. I think it's honestly not a horrible idea. So yeah, I think that's definitely a prediction there, is that if you're grading, I think it'll still be viable for the next 6 months, or maybe even 12 months, to be honest with you. This next year, I think you can make a lot of money grading, to be honest. And I know it feels weird because it's like there's money sitting on the table. How is it so easy to grade and you still make so much money doing it? It's just people are lazy. People don't want to wait half a year to grade. If you buy a card right now and you submit it with PSA, and there's probably going to be delays on top of it anyways, you're probably not going to get cards until like September or October if you're sending right now. So the thing is, you've got to ask yourself, if it's going to take that long for a card to be graded with PSA, I mean, it's, like, it's going to take a while. So by then, the amount of demand versus the amount of supply entering the market, I don't think it matches it. So yeah, I think PSA is still going to be a great way to make money in this hobby. And number two, I believe that OPO5 will hit $1.5 to $2,000 this year per booster box. OPO5, I think it's just too expensive, the top chasers versus the booster box. The reason is because it doesn't just have one card that sold for $20,000. Well, okay, I guess, yeah, you did only have one card. But the signature Luffy is incredibly expensive as well. And also, in the future, people are going to want OPO5 to display the box. It's a very, very nice looking box. Overall, I think OPO5 will seriously stand out as one of those grails. I think in 10 years time, those boxes that stand out is going to be like PRBO1, known as the set where you can pull pretty much the largest god pack from any set. You can pull the largest chase from one pack. And then I think OPO5 will be remembered as that set with the signature Luffy. I'm so far they haven't done another signature card. This is the only signature card they've done. But then also the Gear 5 Luffy, I think that it will definitely help it stand out in the future. And then you've got things like, OP13, we've got really good heat inside. And then you've got OPO1 for being like base set, but I think that these sets are seriously going to stand out, and OPO5 is definitely going to be there. I mean, there's still people to this day who say that OPO5 is better. I actually personally do prefer OPO5. I do recognize OP13 is better. It is kind of sort of a fact, to be honest. It's like, I guess it's all opinion, but it just feels like a fact, to be honest with you. But at the same time, there are still so many people who do prefer OPO5. Like, even though you have better sets out there, there are still people who prefer OPO5. I don't think that bling is going away anytime soon. I don't think that that way that people see the set, the sentiment towards the set is going anywhere anytime soon. I think that this year you're going to see those really premium boxes do really well, and those boxes that are $200 or $300, but they're not the best set out there. I don't think you're going to see them hit $600, like OPO7, right? I don't think you're going to see that hit $600, or other boxes that are like $250, but it's like an okay set, like say OP10, right? I don't think you're gonna see that hit $420 or $430 or however much it is times 2. But like OPO5, we could definitely see that hit 2K by the end of the year. I don't think that's that crazy to say. But then that moves us to the final prediction of the video, and that is that Blue Bottom will clear $10,000 consistently. So I think that it will. I think it did actually hit that price like once. I'm pretty sure there was an auction or something where I sold for 10,000 USD, but it wasn't consistent, or it may have been just under. I don't know. Yeah, it would have been close. But anyways, I do think that it's not only going to hit that, but it's also going to average that as well. I think OP01 Blue Bottom, it's going to be something where as confidence is increased in the actual TCG, then people will look at the starter deck for Alpha, the actual original base deck thing, and then people are going to look at Pokemon First Edition. People are going to look at Pokemon. You got the illustration rare Pikachu. You got the illustrated Pikachu selling for $16 million. I think people are going to look at that and go like, all right, well, what's next? Can One Piece? You've got One Piece Blue Bottom, which is what, 6-7K. Now you've got first edition base set for Pokemon selling for $500,000. So people are going to put the pieces together and go, oh, hang on. So I think as confidence does grow for One Piece, you're naturally going to see Blue Bottom just creep up in value. I don't think it's going to be anything that blows up overnight, but I do think by the end of the year we are going to see Blue Bottom sell on average for $10,000. Don't think it's the craziest prediction out there, but it still is a prediction nonetheless. So yeah, that's all the predictions for today's video. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. I'm very keen to see what you guys think, but that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.